Hi again. Let's talk about CSS transitions. Okay. Um, so transitions let you animate things with CSS. Let's do a simple one. Okay, just to get started. So the animations here, they're actually pretty easy to do. It just works a little differently than you might expect. Okay. So essentially, what you're going to do is you're going to add the transition property to an element, and that will tell the browser that when the properties of that element change, then it should take time for that change to happen rather than happening immediately. Okay, let's give it a try here. So let's say when you hover over this box, right, the background color should change. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll do it this way first, right? So let's set up the hover. So I'm going to kind of move this around a little bit so we can see box and the hover style for the box. So I'm going to do box colon hover like this, and then I'll change the background color to some other color. So right now it's bisque, right? So it's this color. Let's make it another color that we can see the change. I'll make it, I don't know, let's make it coral. I don't know, actually I don't like that color. Let's make it, I don't like any of these colors. Why am I even using these colors? Anyway, so I'll just make it burlywood. Okay, there we go, right? So we've got this color, and it'll change. It's not a big change, but it should be noticeable, right? So let's refresh, and then you can see I hover over, right, and the colors change, right? So that's pretty easy, but it doesn't animate, right? So it doesn't take any time, right? So what I'm going to do to get the transition working is on box, I don't put it here on the hover, but I'm going to put it on the box, right? Okay, and I'm going to add a transition like this and set the time for the transition to be, you can do it in seconds like this, so it'll be a 1 second transition. So S is a unit, means seconds, right? And now you can see when I hover over a box, the color change takes 1 second. Okay, and then when I move the cursor off the box, the color goes back to its original color in the course of 1 second. Okay, besides using seconds, you can also use milliseconds. So if 1 second was too long and I wanted to do something smaller, you could do this. You could do 0.4 seconds, but you can also do, let's say, 400 ms for milliseconds. So that should be 0.4 seconds. Okay. So I'll try that. And now when I refresh here, you can see the transition is a little bit faster, right? A little snappier, right? And there you go, right? So there's a little more to this, but that's the basic idea there, okay? So you set the transition on the element, and then on the hover or whatever happens, you're going to change the hover is the easiest one to do here, but there's other ways to trigger the transition. But essentially, anything that changes the properties of that object are going to trigger the change over this time. Okay. Now here's actually before we finish this video, let me remove that and show you a common mistake here. Some people they make a mistake when they're doing this, and they put the transition on the hover. And let me show you what that looks like. Okay, so you can see here I'm getting the transition, like it's animating in, right? Let's actually slow that down even. Let me make this 1 second again, right? Okay, so now I can see the animation move in, but watch what happens when I move the cursor off the box. There's no transition going out. Okay? That's because when I remove my cursor, the hover ends, and it removes this style along with the transition style, so you lose the animation, right? So really, we got to have the animation always on to get the animation to go forward and back. But maybe you don't want it going backwards, and then you could do it this way. But in general, that kind of doesn't quite look right usually. So you really want to put this thing here and then change the properties somewhere else, right? So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope that gets you started on CSS transitions.